folks. This is Pastor Mike Hoggard coming to you from Studio 2012 with another Watchman video broadcast. The egg. Have you ever thought about this? Sure you have. This time of year, here comes Peter Cottontail hopping down the bunny trail. I never could figure out, all the time I was a kid, I could never figure out what an egg had to do with bunny rabbits. Could never figure that out. Now, I like fried eggs. And I happen to like fried rabbit, but I never ate the two together, never connected two together. And yet every year, around the time of Easter, I was told that a little bunny went around hiding eggs everywhere. And we had to go out in this nice clothes that we had, because you had to wear your Easter suit. And we dressed up in these nice clothes and had these little baskets. We walked around looking for the eggs that the bunny rabbit, Peter Rabbit, the Easter bunny. I even had one time, I don't know if you remember this, I had gotten an Easter basket when I was a kid that had a big plastic bunny rabbit coin bank. And I kept all of my coins in there. And the thing that irritated me about this coin bank was it didn't have one of those things at the bottom where you screwed it like that and it came loose and you could get your money out. Once I put the money in there, it was in there. I never got to get it out. I don't know what happened to that. But I've seen those around before. I think they still sell them. But anyway, and the interesting thing is that the ones they sell now have the word bank written across the bunny's forehead. I don't know if that has anything to do with Book of Revelation or not. But anyway, I got to thinking about the Easter controversy. Some churches, I pulled up here, some churches, here's Tower Grove Baptist Church, which is in our community, had a community Easter egg hunt. Here's another one, another church doing the Easter eggs extravaganza. Oh, how witty they are. Churches doing Easter egg hunts. Now, I can remember a time when yours truly here at Bethel Church, when I was growing up, we used to have Easter egg hunts all the time. That was at the time when we were doing, Halloween parties here at the church, and we even had a Halloween scary house in all the Sunday school rooms. I remember those days. You did all those things in innocency a long time ago. You grow up, you start thinking about things, you start doing a little research, and you find out that some things maybe were probably better left undone. Now, let me say this before I say anything else in this broadcast. And I'm going to teach you the symbolism of what this egg, of what it represents, the whole thing about Easter and everything like that. And somebody even asked me about the word Easter in the King James Bible. And some people are saying, see, it's wrong. The King James Bible's wrong. It's got the word Easter in it, and everybody knows that's a pagan holiday. Yeah. And it's in there for a reason. And I actually am going to show you why it is the right word to be in that place, and the translators knew it. But we have all these little, what we call traditions, these Easter traditions. Nobody ever questioned where they came from. Nobody ever bothered to ask, because we don't really normally think that the day-to-day things that we're doing are really occultic or pagan or put us in alignment with the New World Order somehow, some way. And so all the things that I'm going to say today, I don't want to necessarily accuse any church or any Christian of being a pagan, of worshiping the devil, of practicing sacred fertility rites by having your kids go out and find little chocolate Easter bunnies and that you hid in the grass. I remember one time, I got the special egg. I don't know if you know what that is. I don't know who all does this, but one year my mom and dad, they took, I don't know if you remember this or not. Remember pantyhose used to come in these little egg-shaped containers. They were called legs. And Mom would save the containers, and every year at Easter time, my sister and I, we would go out and try to find. Now, these things were great big. And one time, I found the special legs pantyhose container that had $1 in it. 1974, you're talking $1 bill. That's like a lot of money. And that was the first time I ever won anything like a contest. And I remember feeling so special. It was about that same year that I got saved. I don't want to I don't want to make people think that I think you're all pagans because you like to eat eggs, boil eggs, color eggs. I don't want you to think that. I don't want you to think that just because a church or a religious group somehow, or church people that you know, buried little candies in the yard for kids, and kids went out and did those things and so on. I don't want you to think that. People are going to hell or they're going to heaven because they're saved by the grace of Almighty God. And that grace is sustaining grace. And that grace also kind of helps us as we grow and mature as Christians, see things that maybe we shouldn't do anymore. Now, we at Bethel Church, we didn't have a church-sponsored Easter egg hunt, but I do know some families that went out and buried little things in the yard for the kids, and the kids went out and ate them, and okay. I'm not going to get all bent out of shape over that as their pastor, because I know these people and I know their lives, and I know that they want to serve the Lord, and they don't necessarily need me tapping them over the shoulder every time they do something and say, I'm sorry, that's pagan. You can't do that. So I try not to be that way. So the information that I'm going to give you is more in line of a prophetic nature rather than for you to use as ammunition against all the people that you don't like, that you know for a fact they ate a boiled egg on Sunday, Easter Sunday morning. And so anyway, I want to teach you this. The word Easter itself, where does it come from? At the time growing up, as a child, growing up in church, to me, Easter was synonymous with getting up, having a little Easter egg hunt, and then putting on this nice... I have pictures of me and my sister and my mom in our very, very nice 70s Easter outfit. Yes, it was a leisure suit. Okay, getting ready to come to church. For me, all the time, that Easter day was a special day where we celebrated not necessarily the Easter bunny and the sacred egg, but we celebrated the risen Jesus Christ, who right around the same time that Easter usually is, and I'll tell you how Easter, you ever notice that Easter is not the same time every year? I'll tell you how they pick that out. It's rather interesting. Right around the same time is, of course, the Jewish holiday of Passover, and that, of course, is when Jesus, who was the Lamb of God, became our Passover sacrifice for us, died, His blood being shed in our place, so that when God sees His blood, He now passes over us, and death has not dominion over us. But I started doing a little research into Easter. I've never really done this before, but I started doing a little research into the word Easter itself. And here's what I found. Let me put Mr. Egg over here. Okay? Here's what I found. Easter, of course, as probably some of you know, was named after a goddess, a pagan goddess. This is about the cleanest picture that I could find concerning Easter. She is a pagan goddess, and 9 times out of 10 in her images, she's going to be stark naked. Okay, she's not going to have any clothes on, and there's a reason why. She has to do with fertility. She was called Easter or Esther. Hold on a second. We have a book in our Bibles, our King James Bibles, called the Book of Esther. Where does that name come from? It comes from the word Easter, or there are variations of it. Ishtar, Ashtaroth, Isis. But Esther, her Jewish name was Hadassah, and the Jews still regard her as that way, by that name. But she was given the name by King Ahasuerus as he named her after the pagan fertility goddess Esther, which to him was quite an honor. Okay, he's now married. You remember he had, who was it? Queen Vashti, and she didn't please him. So he put her out of the way and brought in Esther, this Jewish woman, Hadassah, and he named her after in his mind, his most sacred goddess in the world. It was quite a title of honor. Doesn't necessarily make it good, but that's what he thought of her. And so he named her after his fertility goddess is what he did. Ishtar and Ashtaroth, the word Isis. And really, if you kind of do if you know just a little bit, just a teeny tiny bit of Hebrew, You'll know that in the Old Testament, the word Adam, the name Adam, his wife was called the woman. And in Hebrew, the man is called Ish, and in Hebrew it's Isha. Okay, so think about the Hebrew word Isha, meaning woman. And then after Babel, when it gets to Egypt, it's not Isha, it's Isis. And then in the Sumerians, it's Ashtaroth. And in the Babylonians, it's Ishtar or Esther or some other variation. Now, then you understand the concept. And it started out as just meaning woman. But I want you to remember, I want you to think about something as we do this. I want you to think of who is it that the serpent approached in the Garden of Eden. He didn't go after Ish, which is the man. He went after Isha, the woman. He wanted to plant a seed in her mind, and that was his words that came forth. By the way, in the King James Bible, 46 of those words came forth and seeded into the woman a concept that if she ate of the fruit, that she would become a god and all this stuff. And so that's kind of in the back of my mind as I'm studying this, and this idea that Ishtar or Easter or Esther or Ashtaroth or Isis or any of these variations, she represents the goddess of fertility. Now, if you don't have to use much of your imagination to understand that if she was worshipped as a goddess of fertility, there's probably a pretty interesting way that she was worshipped, and that's exactly right. And know that God did not want His people worshipping Isis, Ishtar, Ashtaroth, Esther, Easter, or whatever she was called. They did not want her being worshipped this way. In fact, there was a whole land that was called the land of Ashtaroth in Joshua chapter 13. I want you to notice who is it that is the king of Ashtaroth. All the kingdom of Og. Now, that's not egg. It's Og. All the kingdom of Og in Bashan, which reigned in Ashtaroth and in Edrei, who remained of the remnant of the giants, for these did Moses smite and cast them out. So you